Well, the weekend is coming to a close, but that does not mean we end things right here. So, as you know, we're going to be reviewing, of course, Stardom much recent event in Shinjuku. Not the venue itself, but it's a place in Tokyo. I cannot pronounce it, I don't remember the name of it, but yes. But also, we're going to be doing, of course, AEW's New Japan's Forbidden Door. So basically, everything is stacked. All the matches, title matches, everything you probably want to hear about. And then, of course, we cap up with this episode with some news updates to tell what's going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, some developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If certain information I have not put on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the United Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You will be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have said, it's time to begin with our very first chapter with, of course, Stardom in Shinjuku. All right, Stardom in Shinjuku. Not Shinjuku FACE the venue. This is a different venue with the name Shinjuku, which is part of the city of the area in the Tokyo metropolitan area. So just put it that clear for everybody. However, please take note. Tam Nakano and Momo Watanabe are not even present on this particular day. If you guys must know, they made their way to the US to participate in the 0 hour of the Forbidden Door. So basically, we will see that as possible. But also make note, don't forget, Mina has not been on this particular, on these last two shows from Stardom because of her participation in the main card for the AEW Women's World Title. So all notes have put that right there. Now, our first match, we have a three-way tag match. We have star members consistent of Momo Kogo and Saya versus Rian and Sayaka Mitani versus EXV Hanako and Maika. Now, of course, this was a very interesting pairing with Rian and Sayaka Mitani. However, we know that Kamitani recently, before the whole, you know, all the members of Queen's Quest were expelled, Kamitani did said that she had her eyes on Rian. So I wouldn't be surprised if she recruits her from here on out because seems like they got along great. But unfortunately, this match ended with Michael applying a lariat onto Rian, allowing for her and her teammate to pick up the win. However, of course, Michael was concerned over the well-being of Kamitani. It seems that Kamitani is doing better now after what happened at the conversion, with all members except her were expelled from Queen's Quest. So it appears that that Saya and Maika decided to do something together this coming weekend because they're part of the golden generation. But unfortunately, that is it's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but if I'm Micah, don't butt into Oedo Tai because they are not going to take that kindly. Because Micah did stated, why didn't they can't Asaya Kamitani leave Queen's Quest and allow the other four to return? Well, I don't know exactly what the contract state, but if she's gonna butt into something like this, I'm sure Natsuko Toro's not gonna like that. But we will see what happens until then. But I wouldn't be surprised if Micah tells Kamitani to join EXV. There's no way Kamitani will join EXV for one particular reason. She has something that she wants, and that is the red belt. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Aya Sakura taking on Xena. So, this is a big challenge for her. I mean, we know that she has great striking capability, but Xena, she is a strong, powerful wrestler. You probably would think that, Sakura will definitely have it harder. Well, it kind of did. Apparently, she ended up being on the Thunderstruck, allowing for Xena to pick up the win. Now, our next match is a three-way match. We have Sayaka Kurata versus Lady C versus Waka Tsukiyama. Now, it's no secret that Lady C and Waka are, from the very beginning, they were very good friends until Waka ended up being with Cosmic Angels, and then Lady C, who was still unaffiliated at the time, ended up with Queen's Quest, and now we know where both of them are at. As you know, Waka is with EXV, and Lady C, well, she is currently with no affiliated with any faction at this point. But as Sayakura, as you know, I have to say the factor of this match was Kurara because she is the least experienced out of both in this entire match. Because you look at Lady C and Waka, they're about the same type of experience that they have. About 4 years, but it seems like they were targeting her to pick up the win when unfortunately it was Waka who picked up the win to begin with. And then of course Kurara attacked Waka as soon as the match was over. But Kurara said that she and Sakura are not done with the whole new blood tag belt, but Waka is telling her that she needs to sit down and leave the whole thing up to her. Well, Kurara's not going to listen to her because she's not her senpai. Her senpai is none other than Tam Nakano. And that's the thing. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have God's Eye members, consistent of Saki Kashima and Ami Suri. They take on Cosmic Angels, Yuna Mizumori, and Natsupoi. Now, there was a moment you probably saw where Mizumori was about to had Natsupoi and on her shoulders was attempting to drop her on top of Ami Suri. Well, unfortunately, Saki Kashima did something and put them through the corner side where there's the camera, and Natsupoi goes, "Hi, boy." I thought that was great, but however, Kashima once again applied the Kishikase onto Mizumori to pick up the win, which of course putting Mizumori in a state where like I can't believe that happened, but it did. Now, our next match, we have Oedo Tai consistent of Rina, Raka, Taka, and Atsuko Tora taking on Hina, God's Eye members Rana Yagami, Konami, and Sudi. Now, don't forget this on the conversion at this pass at the Korakuen Hall. We do know that Oedo Tai have their sights set on the tag belt, so that's something that's no secret. But it's interesting to see Hina being part of this match because, as you know, much like Lady C, Nazumi, and Amasaki, they're currently unaffiliated with any other faction after they've been expelled from Queen's Quest. But, however, we know that the motivation now with Oedo Tai is to dismantle God's Eye and take away the goddess's belt. But I highly doubt that they will dismantle them. But from here, we go from that. But it was Shuri who picked up the win onto Tekla to pick up the win. And just like that, it was over. But I'm sure this thing between Oedo Tai and God's Eye is far, far from over. Now, our main event, we have Miyu Amasaki, Mei Sita, Azumi, and Starlight Kid. They face, of course, Starlight Kid's old pals from Stars, consistent of Hanan, Koguma, Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Which is, of course, very interesting now because we do know that Starlight Kid is planning to start another faction with Crazy Star, and that seems it. Now Zuzu, as you know, she is still out of action. She won't be back before we start the 5-star Grand Prix, which is obvious. But the match was pretty great. But however, it was May City who picked up the win with the Rolling Star onto Hanan and picked up the win for her team. But however, things got out of hand because of the rivalry between both Hana and May. I'm sure many people would like to see this match happen. But however, May City actually lost a tooth. I don't know if you guys noticed it or saw it, but it did. So, wow, that sucks. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for Stardom. So we'll see what happens in the following week, and we're getting prepared for, of course, the 5-star Grand Prix. So until then, we end things right here with Stardom and move on with the Forbidden Door. Okay, it's that time of year again, the Forbidden Door. Now, as you know, we normally would see collaboration between both AEW and New Japan. However, we do see collaboration with not only just those two, with CML and Stardom. So we'll be seeing all of that throughout the entirety. Now, let's begin with the matches from the 0 hour. Our first match is a 4-way tag match. We have the Kings of the Black Throne, members of the House of Black, Brody King and Malachi Black, versus Private Party, versus Gabe Kidd and Roderick Strong, versus Kyle O'Reilly and Tomohiro Ishii. So of course there's a lot of factors of this match. Now don't forget, of course, Roderick Strong is determined to have, of course, Kyle O'Reilly to stop being in this mess and just join them. That's what he's been determining. But however, that did not apply because it was Private Party who ended up being on the losing side after Brody King applied the Dante's Inferno onto Brother Zay, and just like that, the Kings of the Black Throne picked up the win. Our next match, we have tag team action in the women's division. Momo Watanabe, making her AEW debut, teams up with Chris Statlander to take on Tam Nakano and Will Nagel. Now, don't forget, recently at the Flashing Champions, we did see Tam and Willow faced off each other for the TBS title at the time, and now they're teaming up. I have to say it was a pretty good team up between them. But of course, that weasel, Stokely Hathaway, tried to run interference, but it backfired until Tam Nakano put away Momo Watanabe with the Twilight Dream, and just like that, giving her first official win in the US, in AEW most specifically, the win. Just like that. So as you know, this thing between Statlander and Chris Statlander is not far. With Nightingale and Statlander is not over yet until we get to Wednesday. So we'll see where that leads. Next match, we have, of course, the quarterfinals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Mariah May versus Saraya. Now don't forget, Saraya has issued herself as the one person that will be at Wembley Stadium because, as you know, last year she won the AEW Women's title at Wembley Stadium there, and now she faces Mariah May. Now this feud between both Saraya and Mariah May dates back a while because, of course, they think that Mariah May is such an idiot being around Toni Storm. Well, you can say whatever you want, but to our surprise, it was Mariah May who actually picked up the win by pinning her. That means she will face against who is it that she's be facing? I forgot who else, but yes. So we will see her in that. We're all excited to see. Now we did see Mina Shirakawa showed up. As you know, they had to save that until this coming later on in the evening. So we gotta wait for that. Now our last match, part of the 0 hour, we have LIJ's Yosuji Titan and Hiromu Takahashi taking on the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Cero Miedo and Rey Fenix. They team up with Mystico, who is a well-respected wrestler in the entire Lucha Libre world. But yeah, I have to say the team up was pretty great. But in fact, it was Mystico with La Mystica, which is kind of like an armbar type that put away Titan, forcing him to pick up the win. I thought fantastic. Now let's jump into the main card. We have Hichiseto, one of the best technical wrestlers in Mexico, takes on MJF. Now you would think that MJF is not in the same kind of type, but however, he's always up for a fight. He's always willing to go whatever. Now, of course, he has to be more careful what Hichisaro would do, putting him in submissions in order to, pick up the win. But luckily, MJF came out of it very well until he applied a brainbuster, and just like that, he picked up his first win against a guy like Hichisaro. Now, our next match, we have the Elite, consistent of the Bucks and Okada, where they face off the Acclaim, Max Caster, and Anthony Bowens teaming up with the ace of New Japan, Tanahashi. The match was pretty great, but of course, this match was going to go where the old rivalry kind of reignites between Okada and Tanahashi. Now, don't forget, Tanahashi always did believe back in the early years that Okada was being young and obnoxious due to what he is. But this time, Okada was the one who got the better of him with the Rainmaker, allowing for the Elite to pick up the win. But however, Okada was attempting to finish off the ace once and for all. But luckily, Daddy Ass decided to make the save, and just like that, it was completely over. Now, we continue more with the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, but this time is the men's. Now, I don't know if this is a bit of a controversy from what I saw. Is Shingo Takagi versus Bryan Danielson. Now, this was one of those tough battle types that you wouldn't expect, because we know that Bryan Danielson is determined to make it all the way to Wembley Stadium. That's just what his goal is, also to win the AEW World title. That's been the journey. However, it was Bryan Danielson that applied like a bit of somewhat of a Fujiwara armbar. Now, we couldn't tell whether Shingo gave up either by tapping or verbally saying, "I give up." But Aubrey Edwards decided, just to call it just like that. If there was a verbal, then it would make sense. I don't know if anybody caught that. Some people think that's kind of BS the way it is, but I don't know. You guys tell me. Now, our next match, we have the AEW Women's World Title, Mina Shirakawa versus Toni Storm. Now, of course, the story is Mariah May, who is, of course, Mina's tag partner and friend back in Stardom, has to watch her friend and mentor face off each other for this belt. Basically conflicted on both sides, but she cannot do anything about it. She has to stay out of it. So that's always the thing. But however, you can tell that Mina applied everything in her playbook, such as the Glamorous Mina, the Mina Collection, whatever it takes to pick up the win. However, it was, of course, Toni Storm with the Storm Zero that put away Mina, and just like that, retained the belt. But however, apparently things went well at the end, I guess. I don't know what people would have expected. I think people were thinking that Mariah was going to turn her back on Mina. It kind of did not. Basically, there was a triple kiss between both Mariah, Toni, and Mina. Kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens from here on out. Now, our next match, we have Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Orange Cassidy. Now, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. has given himself a lot of, face the best wrestlers in the world, even if they're not technical wrestlers. But he looks at Orange Cassidy as one of the elite wrestlers due to being unorthodox. That's always been the question. But the real question is, can Orange Cassidy beat one of the best technical wrestlers in the world? I mean, he did ask some advice from Taz. I mean, he knows a thing or two about these type of matches. But unfortunately, that didn't help for him at all, because Zack Sabre, as you know, he is one of the best technical submission specialists we've seen, was able to put Orange Cassidy in a submission, force him to tap out. But right in the end, of course, in the post-match, we did see how Zack Sabre Jr. actually gave Orange Cassidy his sunglasses back. I don't know if that's like a sign of respect or what, but it's kind of interesting how that was going around. So we'll see what happens down the road. Now, our next match, we have Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. They take on Jeff Cobb, Big Bill, and Chris Jericho. So everything was coming to play. However, I think many of you were impressed between both Joe and Hobbs. I mean, two of the biggest individuals. But we do know both men are a bit more agile for their size, because we witnessed Joe. I mean, we all know Joe. He was one of the bigger individuals in the X Division reign, and nobody can move just like him, and that sets it up apart. So, but however, I think the biggest shocker was Hook applying the Judas effect on Jericho and knocking him down and picking up the win. However, we did see his dad, Taz, applauding like that, and freaking Nigel was saying, "Are you gonna cry?" I don't cry. But he's happy to see that Jericho has been knocked down on his butt, seeing that Hook used one of his moves against him. So I think that sets it all. Now, our next match, we have the TNT ladder match. Now, remember, this title was vacant after, of course, Adam Copeland injured himself. So we have 6 competitors involved: Mark Briscoe, Konosuke Takeshita, Dante Martin, El Phantasmo Lee Rush, and Jack Perry. Now, of course, bigger factor in this match is, of course, Jack Perry. There is no way in hell that the other 5 competitors want Jack Perry to win, because the Elite, as you know, are determined to take over AEW once and for all. Now they, as you know, they have of course the tag titles and the Continental title, and they will love nothing more than to have the TNT title in their grasp. So that's how the whole thing ends. But however, many people thought this match should have gone to Takeshita, but and to our surprise, it ended up with Jack Perry, and ended it just like that. So Jack Perry is now the new TNT champion, and of course the Elite, as you know, are now aiming to get the AEW World title back. Now our next match is a title versus title winner takes all match. We have Stephanie Vakir, the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, versus Mercedes Moné, the current TBS champion. Now don't forget, Mercedes defeated Stephanie last year in the tournament for this belt, for the New Japan Strong Women's belt. And now it's more like for Stephanie, she wants to rectify that loss. But that belt, as you know, it was strictly designed for Mercedes when at the time she was doing events for New Japan, and that says it all. But we've seen how Stephanie is. She is a strong competitor, very ruthless, very aggressive. But however, it was Mercedes Moné that finished her off with a crossface, allowing herself to become a double champion. But that does not end there. We haven't seen her for a long time. We just saw the return of none other than the Doctor, Britt Baker. So she is back, and I think you all know what she's aiming for. Now remember, she has won the AEW Women's title before, but she has never won the TBS belt. And I wouldn't be surprised if she wants also the New Japan Strong Women's belt. That is something we definitely could see down the road. So we'll see what happens. Now our next match is the IWGP World Heavyweight title, Tetsuya Naito versus Jon Moxley. Now don't forget, recently we have seen Jon Moxley defeat Naito for this belt, and that was the real case. But Naito felt that it's proper for him to, of course, to go back for this belt, and that's exactly. Of course, Jon Moxley was going to do everything in his power to break him, to hurt him, break every bone in his body, but it took only 2 Destino attempts for Naito to put away Jon Moxley and pick up the win and bring back the belt back where it originally comes from. And that's right, it's going back home to New Japan. Now, our main event, we have the AEW World title, Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. You can say it was one of the best matches of the night. I thought it was a very sick one, with their styles of wrestling, how it is. But of course, there was a moment the ref was out, and that was going to happen sooner or later. Then Don Callis showed up with the screwdriver. Now, I don't know if Don Callis would take that as, that he did not want nothing to do with it. But there's those that have been talking that maybe the possibilities that Don Callis will kick out Will Ospreay. But I think we will see, of course, another factor, which is Kyle Fletcher. But it was Swerve who picked up the win with the driver onto Will Ospreay to retain the belt. So we will see down the line. Now, don't forget, we got the Owen Hart tournament continue on. We will see who will walk out and, of course, will face Swerve. But I have to say, Forbidden Door, it was an awesome match, seeing 4 promotions working together. And I think many of you like that. I mean, we have seen little by little how things have changed. So I think that's pretty much it right now with all the reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with updates on the promotions for their upcoming events. We have two of them so far. Don't forget that on July 5th in Toronto, Canada, GCW will be there for their worst behavior event, and this one will have a match with Jordan Oliver versus the most despicable, disgusting human being ever, Charles Mason. And then, as you know, Shugo, I don't know if this is announced as a replacement for, of course, Lady Frost. They just announced Su Young will be there. Now, don't forget, Kitsune Women's Wrestling for the Sugo event will be in LA on July 14th. So that's pretty much it for the upcoming events for the promotions. Let's talk about certain things that are developments that are announced. Now, many of you remember not too long ago we did see At-Risk Girls leave the promotion. Apparently, At-Risk Girls just announced that Naho Yamada will be leaving, has officially left At-Risk Girls. This was a discussion that's been decided. There's been discussions about this, and also they wanted to respect her wishes. Now, they never indicated whether she's retiring or moving to a new promotion. But however, I wouldn't be surprised if she makes her way to Mighty Gold or other or something, because we do know 6 of their members went there. But we'll just wait and see where they go. Now, we want to give a congratulations to, of course, what's their names? The Street Profits. Angelo Dawkins for his marriage with his wife. Yeah, they officially got married, and here's the best part: his best friend and tag partner Montez Ford officiated the wedding. So that was pretty nice right there. So I'm sure he got ordained online, so that's something that makes more sense. Now, as you know, last time I talked about Max the Impaler being exclusive for NWA in their roster. Well, another name has been announced to be part of that, and that is Rolando. Yeah, the short guy who people announced. So that's pretty good. Unfortunately, due to some situations, Deadlock Pro Wrestling has announced that due to Brian Keith actually being injured, he has to vacate the DPW national title. Now, he is the longest reigning champion, so basically I'm sure there's going to be a tournament to crown a brand new champion. Now, he's not the only one that was announced for his injury. Beyond the Wrestling has also announced, due to the fact that I was not aware, Leo Rush got injured at the ladder match in the Forbidden Door. And Beyond the Wrestling has announced that he will no longer participate at the July 4th event for Americana. I'm sure there'll be a new replacement to be announced as well. Now, as you know, recently, on July 15th, Momo Watanabe will be making her way to Sendai Girls. However, she'll be facing against Dash Shigazo. Well, Momo decided, hey, let's make this into a hardcore rules match. Now, she thinks that she knows more about hardcore, but Dash, we know she knows a whole lot. She's been involved in those matches too. So it looks more like this match will be a hardcore match on July 15th in Sendai. So we'll see what happens until then. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Okay, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Now, for our next episode, I haven't decided yet what to do. I'm debating either to take a break for the time being, but that would be sort of, for me, a little unfair for all of you, because I know some of you like enjoying the reviews, but we will see what happens. I know I'm behind on Mighty Gold and Pro Wrestling Noah, so I haven't decided just yet where we're going to go, but we'll just wait and see. I'm just going to wing it from here on out. But I'll let you guys know if I decide not to release a new episode the following day. But we will see what happens. But until now, I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.